Hi, my name is Jodelle. Welcome back to my channel. Today we're talking about mastering communication. What are your nonverbal cues saying about you? So nonverbal communication is everything that you're not saying and is left up to other people to interpret. This means that their perception of you is highly subjective, which isn't great. You want to leave as little to the imagination as possible when it comes to communicating. I don't want there to be a gray area of misunderstanding by some action I took that was misinterpreted. So a big part of nonverbal communication is going to be body language. And that's going to be eye contact, that's going to be hand gestures, that's going to be squaring your shoulders to the person, looking engaged. And so with hand gestures, I use them a lot to punctuate what I'm saying, and I find that it really helps get the point across. I'm making it a little more engaging to listen to me, and it punctuates what I'm saying if my voice isn't giving as much inflection or if I have to be a little quieter. The other body language piece is making eye contact. One of the great things about eye contact is it goes both ways. So while I am speaking and I'm looking at you, what I'm looking for is cues, your nonverbal cues, telling you how interested you are in the story. If you're not looking at me, or you're looking down, or you're, looking at your watch, then it tells me that you're not really engaged, and that either I need to cut my story short, or maybe I need to make it a little more interesting. Maybe I'm just, telling it a little monotonous, and I'm kind of boring to listen to, and I'm not really fun to watch. So by becoming a little more animated and using different inflections in my tone, then I might be able to draw you back in and kind of save the conversation. Some other nonverbal communication opportunities that you have is when you enter or when you exit a room. So when you enter a room, are you opening the door and looking down and trying not to make too much noise and kind of the shrinking violet? Or are you opening the door, greeting everybody just by looking at them and, almost as if like I'm here, right? And then just close the door behind you without turning your back. So you're really having this presence in this room. That small piece is a really great piece to practice because you walk through a million doors all the time. So when you walk into a room, you set the tone right off the hop because it is one of your first impressions that you make. The same for leaving a room. Just don't let the door slam behind you. As you leave it, you can kind of give a wave to someone or, turn around, smile at the room and then leave. It might seem really silly, but if you practice it or film yourself practicing it and try it a couple different ways, you're gonna see the difference that such a small action can make. And it really is setting the tone for the way people think about you and the way that you're going to be perceived as you engage or disengage from social events. Another nonverbal cue is when you're in a meeting, how engaged you are. And so if you're checking your phone, for some people, that's gonna look like you're just checking your social media, that you're not engaged, that you're really bored, you don't have the self-control to not pick up your phone. For other people, they might think that you are really busy, that you're checking your emails. Different people are going to interpret that in different ways. No matter what the reason is behind it, what it's gonna tell people around you is going to be a whole bunch of different things, and you have no control over that. And that's where these nonverbal communication skills, you wanna be aware of them because you don't have control over the way people are going to interpret them. Other nonverbal communication is the way you write memos or leave notes for people. If you're in the industry where you do get to write memos, you want to make sure that they are engaging, maybe have a couple little pictures on them. You want to make them short, sweet, to the point. Nobody's just going to read a wall of text. They won't. So you want to make sure that it is appropriate, that it's respectful of their time, the information is pertinent to their job, and that it deserves to be written out on a memo. What I would avoid is handwriting on the memo afterwards. It looks like an afterthought. Usually the handwriting is a lot more messier than the computer printing. It looks like you're disorganized, and that is the impression that you'll leave with people. If you write something on the memo like, make sure you read this, then it kind of undermines your authority because you're putting that up and then you're assuming people aren't going to read it. Remember, the key is to leave as little to the imagination as possible. So you want to be really clear, you want to be really concise, you just want to make sure that it's organized. As soon as the paper is torn or it looks ratty or it's out of date now, you want to take those down because that will also say something about you. So imagine a new employee walking in and they see a message and it's out of date, has some scribbled writing on it, it's got a typo on it. That's going to tell them a whole lot about you as a boss without you even getting a chance to talk to them yet. You want to be really intentional with the information and the breadcrumbs that you are leaving for other people to interpret. Another example of this is the way that you leave your office. So if it's a mess and you got papers everywhere and it's disorganized and you've got coffee rings all over it, that's going to tell somebody that's coming into that space a lot about you. Again, you want to be really mindful about your footprint that you're leaving, especially as a leader in your businesses, because people are going to be looking up to you and they're going to be watching every action, every nuance on your face, every reaction that you have, everything's going to be looked at, and it's going to be looked at through their lens, which you have zero control over. It can be really daunting when you realize how much communication you're doing unintentionally. We just can't talk to people 24 hours a day. Our interactions with them become really short, and they might only get a 10-minute conversation, but they're left with the rest of the 8 hours with this perception or idea of you or what other people are saying about you. That nonverbal communication plays more of a role than that actual verbal communication that you're having with them. So that's just some of the nonverbal communication that happens. And I'd be interested to hear what other ideas you might have or your thoughts about this. If you can master this style of communication, then you are way ahead of the game. It will lead to strong relationships, strong communication, and that will just push and grow your business forward. So I wish you the best of luck. Communicate with intention. Give yourself the best chance of success. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll catch you in another video. Bye!